This is the QTV Nightly News, and I am Loliam Kamara. Thank you for joining us. And a reminder that you can also join us on Q Radio 103.3 FM. Here are the headlines. On Friday, President Adama Barrow received at the State House the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliu Toure, and the UNDP Assistant Administrator and Director of the Regional Bureau for Africa, Azuruna Eze Konwa. $2 million worth of science laboratory equipment has been distributed to 26 senior secondary schools and 3 upper basic schools across the Gambia by the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. The African Network Against Extrajudicial Killings and Enforced Disappearances on Wednesday hosted an award ceremony to celebrate schools participating in its Human Rights Friendly Schools initiative. In international news, at the Global Food Systems Summit in Ethiopia, UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed urged urgent transformative action to address worsening food insecurity, climate challenges, and rising living costs. In sports news, the Women's Sports Reporters Commission of the Gambia held a 2-day summer camp training to enhance the capacity of women in sports journalism. Those were the headlines. Now, the news in detail. On Friday, President Adama Barrow received the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliu Toure, and the UNDP Assistant Administrator and Director of the Regional Bureau for Africa, Azuruna Eze Konwa, at the State House in Banjul. Usman Jata reports.
Challenges facing the Sahel are part of the main drivers for the Gambia's successful hosting of the Sahel Governance Forum, a high-level, multi-stakeholder platform aimed at promoting a comprehensive and context-specific governance framework in the Sahel region, benefiting the region's governments and citizens. Dr. Omar Aliu Toure, President of the ECOWAS Commission, met with President Barrow to congratulate him on the successful hosting of the forum. He also briefed the President on the ECOWAS Management Succession Plan with the Gambia's current mandate set to end in July 2026. Discussions also touch on the recent withdrawal of 3 Sahel states from the bloc.
It's important to clarify that despite the withdrawal of the 3 countries, we have decided to stay together and operate under ECOWAS protocols relating to free movements of people, relating to trade. So nothing has changed so far, and we are in the process of identifying chief negotiators who will work on our relations with the 3 countries. But until a new deal is concluded, the status quo remains. So nothing has changed in West Africa as far as trade, free movement of people.
In January 2025, after more than a year of diplomatic strain, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso formally withdrew from ECOWAS. The trio has since launched the Alliance of Sahel States, ACE, yet they have signaled an interest in staying engaged with select ECOWAS specialized agencies. In a separate engagement, the director of the UNDP's Regional Bureau for Africa, Azuruna Eze Konwa, met with President Barrow to discuss ongoing UNDP projects in the Gambia and emphasized the urgent need for domestic resource mobilization amid declining international aid.
I wanted to share with the President how pleased we are with the collaboration that we have with our country office here, the UNDP country office, and the programs that we're doing together. In particular, we have a community development program which is actually funded by the government of Gambia to support communities that are in remote areas, bringing development, whether it's in terms of schools, rehabilitation of hospitals, provision of water, energy, so that we close the development deficits in those regions. So this is a very successful community development program that UNDP is launching in several countries, and Gambia is one of the countries. We discussed possibility of finding domestic resource mobilization and innovative financing to close the gap that we have now in the fiscal situation because of the withdrawal of some aid support.
The visits underscore a shared commitment to sustaining peace and promoting the region's strategic priorities. Osman Jata, QTV News.
$2 million worth of science laboratory equipment has been distributed to 26 senior secondary schools and 3 upper basic schools across the Gambia. The initiative aims to strengthen science education and encourage practical learning. Jildan Jai attended the official handover ceremony and now reports.
The science and technical lab equipment is expected to boost practical teaching in physics, chemistry, biology, metalwork, woodwork, home science, and technical drawing. It is part of a government plan to make science and technical subjects more hands-on and engaging for students, especially in schools that have lacked access to lab resources for years. Fatou Biteye Cham, Director of Science and Technology at MOPSI, emphasized the importance of science education and assured the government that the equipment will be properly maintained.
Through using these materials, which we are about to launch today, they develop crucial practical skills from handling to analyzing data. They are not only relevant to scientific fields, but also transferable to any profession that they are. Through experiments, they learn to formulate hypotheses, analyze results, and draw informed conclusions.
This equipment forms part of a broader national project supported by the Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development in partnership with the Gambian government. By the end of 2025, a total of 39 schools are expected to benefit from the project. Louis Moses Mendy, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, said one of their key responsibilities is to respond to the demands of national development and ensure that the curriculum reflects the evolving needs of society.
We want to ensure that we provide the scientists, the doctors, the engineers that we need in this country. We must not continue to import labor from the outside because we do not have those competencies and skills in the country. And we can only do that if the curriculum speaks to the needs of the country.
Many Gambian students have struggled in science subjects due to limited access to practical materials and lab time. As reflected in WAEC results over the years, a gap this initiative aims to close. Numoti F. Sedikan, the principal of Birkama Senior Secondary School, spoke on behalf of heads of the beneficiary schools.
The provision of this much-needed state-of-the-art modern science apparatus and reagents, vocational skills, equipment in home science, and the technical equipment and resources in our woodwork, metalwork, and technical drawing.
Dr. Habibatu Drame, the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, emphasizes the importance of making science more accessible to equipped students with practical, real-world skills.
As we strive to equip our students with the knowledge and skills that is required at the foundational level to thrive in an increasingly competitive and technology-driven world. The importance of these materials in the sciences will go a long way to support our endeavors and efforts in advancing STEM in this country.
Earlier this month, President Adama Barrow visited the warehouse storing the equipment and reaffirmed his administration's commitment to improving the quality of education nationwide. For QTV News, I am Julden Yae.
The African Network Against Extrajudicial Killings and Enforced Disappearances on Wednesday hosted an award ceremony celebrating schools in its Human Rights Friendly Schools initiative. The event brought together students, educators, civil society and international partners to honor achievements and highlight the growing impact of human rights education in the Gambia. Ansumana Esonyasi attended and filed this report.
The award was organized to celebrate Daddy Job Comprehensive School, Charles Fowlis Senior Secondary School and Rose Asto International High School for their achievements in the Human Rights Friendly Schools initiative under Anaket's Memory House Human Rights Education Program, implemented in partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and Amnesty International KM Group, and with funding from the UNDP in the Gambia. Sirandao, Anaket's country director, said the project seeks to embed human rights principles into daily life and culture of schools in the Gambia. She revealed that to ensure sustainability, the initiative, along with human rights lessons and training, helped establish human rights and civic education clubs in beneficiary schools. And while congratulating the awarded schools, she thanked partners, notably UNDP, for supporting a project she described as impactful and highly beneficial.
We talk about human rights all the time. Human rights, human rights. Now, how do we live it? How does it look like in practice, in our homes, in our schools? And of course, the project really here was how do we live human rights? How do we live a human right friendly life in our school communities?
Also speaking at the event, Yvonne Masarakuva, UN Senior Advisor on Human Rights and OHCHR Head of Program, Amin Jai, Anaket Board Chairperson, and Mohamed Haidara, President of Amnesty International KM Group, all lauded the initiative as a critical step in embedding human rights values at the grassroots level. And while they congratulate the awardees, they also joined the Anaket Country Director in underscoring the importance of sustaining and scaling the initiative.
Human rights education is not optional, it is essential. And schools are one of the most critical spaces to carry this work forward. Human rights education is not only about knowledge, it is about shaping attitudes and behaviors.
It helps us mold schools in such a way that the equality, the inclusivity, justice, transparency, and accountability is definitely exercised in schools.
That in strengthening these schools, we are building hope of a more just and inclusive society. Above all, let us remember that the impact of tonight's event goes far beyond these walls.
Rose Asto International High School, Charles Fowlis Senior Secondary School, and Daddy Job Comprehensive School received Emerging Achiever, Promising Achiever, and Advanced Achiever Awards, respectively, for their outstanding performances in the initiative. There were also individual awards to students, teachers, and parents of students from the three schools who were recognized by Anaket for demonstrating leadership and commitment to human rights education. In their testimonials, students from the awarded schools, including Bintu Chati of Rose Asto International High School, highlighted the initiative's impact on their schools and called on Anaket to expand the initiative to more schools.
This initiative has been both engaging and highly educational. One particularly impact area was learning about the Gambia's legal framework and history. While some parts were deeply emotional and even painful, we see it as a blessing from Allah that they are behind us all.
There were poetry and musical performances providing moments of entertainment, reflection, and inspiration. Meanwhile, Anaket officials expressed optimism about the impact of the initiative, notably in strengthening student confidence and ability to advocate for justice in their schools and communities. Answana Nyasi for KTV News.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more national and international and sports news stories. Do stay tuned and join us after the break.
At Ajib Bank, we are more than banking. We build bridges that connect you to pivotal services every day. Do you have government bills to pay to the Gambia Revenue Authority, Comfort, KMC, or the Accountant General's Department? We've got you covered. From payment of customs and domestic taxes to GRA, payment of number plate and vehicle ownership transfer to Comfort, payment of property rates and business license fee to KMC, and payment of MR passport, business registration, fishing license, land fees, sale of assets, lease application, development permits, quarrying royalties, gravel and sand, mining royalties, and a host of other revenue lines to the Accountant General's Department. Walk into any of our branches nationwide and make your payments hassle-free. Either in person or online. Simple, secure, and immediate. With Ajib Bank, there is no need to worry about government bill payments for your vehicles, taxes, licenses, business registration, and any other revenue line. Ajib Bank, passionate about your investment. We've got you covered. Ajib Bank, your investment partner.
Hello? Nyali. Ya jangan kena bala kono tempat saya telepon. Ya, baru kita diminta mau pergi diam.
Kujan, ibi suba I am calling you. Call na la suba. Beli lagi munu lo jeli suma call.
Nyali so do man be call sai. Hold on, kana kuntu yamu.
No. It's not right.
Furumusu yen tora.
Why suma la call e? Delo jel. Why da ngay nek funu busy. Furumus dang ma da wax.
Kay besilala bi ngulu ñumal.
Kay dimanche la.
Fay dama lo ko QCell Sunday free call la samana. Dimanche free call QCell to QCell. Yo xamulo lolu non.
QCell to QCell dimanche bu nek free call.
Dimanche ya long. Dimanche minkana. Abemu free call lefi. Kabrin 12 somanda for 12 futo. Abemu free call lefi. Ita manyin lo moy ben bakal la diamo.
Activate mo di lan mo ta activate.
Ya lo kela ñu tole ala foy. Sa yefi dofi bi kanyi na foy. Amanke activate le. Hani free ko free lemu.
Subscribe la wala.
Gendang iman subscribe kutije. Ya crédit ko sang iman crédit ko sang. Sunday wo Sunday free call lemu. Ini momor ni diate. Ina sa diam ne. Ya lo ko Ima mo yel kalam.
No mere won na la way mi ratu ma boy. Holal dama bëggoon dem liggéey ma dem ba Abuna Island why let me go back to my room call Rosalinda wax betas
ngalo nako ite yete yalla kete dimanche lem de dimanche
wadal
akani la ibali la coji tala
truly ani sodi monde bi is suñu monde QCell bi is suñu boss
Ota ani wanita mo kelinti na wala ga bye.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. On Thursday, the Maastricht Senior Secondary School in Old-Yundum held the second edition of its Science Day under the theme STEM Has No Gender. Mam Nabuka witnessed the event, and this is her report.
The event aims to showcase the brilliance of the Masroor Senior Secondary School Science Club, celebrate the rich diversity in the fields of science, and highlight the importance of inclusivity and equal opportunities for all students in intellectual institutions regardless of their gender. This year's celebration also significantly coincided with the official launch of the Women in STEM Masroor chapter. This progressive initiative seeks to broaden access to education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for Masroor students. The program commenced with an electrifying atmosphere capturing the attention of all participants and setting the stage for an engaging and educational experience. It featured interactive science exhibitions, student showcases, and an intense inter-class quiz competition where two teams worked out math questions in a test of wits and teamwork. Amaduba, the coordinator of the Masroor Science Club, sees the Women in STEM Masroor chapter as a revolution and looks forward to the sort of future it will build for the students.
We are building the foundation for a country where every student, regardless of your gender, has equal chance on the path to discovery, where potential is not questioned but nurtured. Remember, you are not just learning science, you are living a revolution, because the future is STEM, and STEM belongs to everyone.
Since its founding in 2022, Women in STEM Gambia, through mentorship, training programs, and more, has laid the groundwork for a more inclusive and equitable future in STEM, where women are empowered to thrive, lead, and make significant contributions to innovation and discovery. This launching of the Women in STEM Masroor chapter is part of a broader movement to address the gender gap in STEM fields. By encouraging girls to engage with STEM subjects from an early age, Wisdom hopes to cultivate a new generation of female leaders who will drive innovation and change in their communities and beyond. Here is Kodu Jeng, the president of Wisdom.
We are also rolling out another project, that is the virtual labs that we have for schools. So this will be the first school that we will introduce these virtual labs, to give them the opportunity to have access to these labs so that they can have practical experience of what they do in class. For the students, both boys and girls, we are at a stage that we need everybody's hand on deck to develop our country. And the earlier we introduce them to these concepts of science and technology and engineering, the better they are prepared to take up responsibilities when they grow up.
Jara Dabo is a science student at Masroor Senior Secondary School.
It inspires us a lot because like students, we expect to be exposed to so many things. So women in STEM coming here to launch a chapter is great for us because it's going to give an opportunity to us as girls to learn something that that we are not being taught at home. So the Science Day is all about to explore. Let us just explore. That is the beauty of science. We just explore.
With this new chapter, Masroor Senior Secondary School reaffirms its commitment to nurturing the next generation of leaders who will shape the future of STEM. Mamna Buka, reporting for QTV News.
Time now for some international news. At the closing ceremony of the Global Food System Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Wednesday, United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed called for urgent and transformative action to overhaul global food systems in response to worsening food insecurity, escalating climate challenges, and the rising cost of living. Aissatou Barry tells us more.
Meloni touted both historical and economic sides, a gesture highlighting Ethiopia's deep cultural legacy and its ambitions for economic growth. Her visit underscores a shift in tone between the two nations, whose relations were once marked by Italy's brutal invasion in the 1930s. On this occasion, the Ethiopian Prime Minister was at the airport to welcome his Italian counterpart. As he was driven through the streets of the capital Addis Ababa, he was greeted by large and enthusiastic crowds. The highlight of the visit was the signing of a $209 million bilateral deal. Hailed as historic, the agreement aims to boost infrastructure development, agricultural modernization, and job creation, aligning with Ethiopia's broader push for economic reform. While history cannot be rewritten, this week's visit signals a promising recalibration. Both leaders called the deal a milestone in redefining cooperation, one built on mutual respect, development, and a forward-looking vision. From past to progress, Ethiopia and Italy are working to write a new chapter together. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
We apologize for bringing the wrong story. That was a story on Ethiopia and Italy, two nations with a complex and often painful history, turned a new page this week in a move rich with symbolism and diplomacy. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed extended a warm welcome to Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who visited the country following her attendance at the United Nations Food Summit held in Addis Ababa. Moving on, next is sports news. The Women's Sports Reporters Commission of the Gambia held a two-day summer camp training to enhance the capacity of women in sports journalism by exposing them to modern theatrical and practical reporting techniques. Yafatou Gay has the details.
15 women sports reporters of the Gambia, who are members of the Women's Sports Reporters Commission, were trained on day one of a two-day capacity building training workshop designed to enhance the capacity of women in sports journalism by exposing them to practical and theoretical knowledge in key areas on the profession. Saja Balde, chairperson of the Women's Sports Reporters Commission, Omar Jaju, President of Sports Journalists Association of the Gambia, and Mariama Bojang, a representative of the GPU, all spoke at the event, each giving their take on the importance and significance of various aspects of this training.
This training is not just a session of learning, it is a statement that women belong to every space, including the press box, at the sideline, behind the desk, and in front of the camera.
Anything that you pick from the resource persons today, go home and make research about them. Read about them. at the end of the day, from these 2 days training, you should be able to be a different reporter. That is the objective of this training.
I urge each of you to go beyond the match scores and tournament statistics. Ask the tougher questions, investigate deeper issues, gender equity in sports, funding access to training for female athletes, and the lack of misrepresentation of women in decision-making roles within sports federations.
The participants include sport photographers, writers, and aspiring student sport journalists. Some of the topics covered on day one included sports terminologies, their meanings and how to use them, and another session, sports writing. They were taken on practical session, do a summary report on the recently concluded GFF First Division League, and present their stories in front. As with many sectors or industries, sports reporting has its own format, rules, regulations, and techniques. Those attending this training will benefit from some of the most cutting-edge techniques in their chosen field. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatu Gay.
That's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching and join us again tomorrow for more news.